This has been going on for 17 centuries since St. Nicholas went around and gave away his wealth to help others, and other people followed in his custom of doing something for their kids, doing something for others.
50 something years, you said you've been doing this.
It's 51 years this year.
Holy moly.
4,500 Santas and Mrs. Claus had received diplomas from my school.
4,500 Santas. How is the COVID season been for Santa Claus?
Well, it has been very difficult for myself and, of course, the many other gentlemen.
Tell me a little bit about the business of being a Santa Claus.
You have to be real. And we tell them that in the school, you are Santa, and number one job is the children.
What is the naughtiest kid you've ever faced over these years?
So all children, I think, deep down are good. They get into a little mischief once in a while.
What is the oldest person you met in your life that still believed in Santa Claus?
I met a lovely lady who was 102. She wanted to go out on a date.
Is that your real beard, right? You have on? That's yours.
Oh, this is all real. That's what the little old ladies like to pull on. It's always fun to meet people who believe.
So listen, with Christmas being around the corner, I thought it was most appropriate for us to bring Santa Claus, because we have to find out if many of us have been naughty or not, if we're going to expect good things, not good things. I don't know. I think it's just as important to you as it is to me and my family, because my kids the other day gave me their cards to give to Santa, and I was prepared for it. And I thought it was the right thing to do to bring Santa on. And so today, my guest is Santa Tim, also known as Santa Hollywood, who is famous for being the official Santa for Hollywood Christmas Parade. With that being said, Santa, thank you so much for being a guest on Valuetainment.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick, and hello to everybody out there.
So it's good to have you. I guess my first question would be, how is the COVID season been for Santa Claus?
Well, it has been very difficult for myself, and of course, for those of your listeners out there who know what really goes on, the many other gentlemen with white beards who work in all of the malls and shopping centers and venues around the country, all of them are, in fact, around the world, all of them are under various restraints and restrictions this year as to how much work they can do, the type of work they can do, and how we can interact with the families.
Yeah, I can only imagine that because your model is seeing kids. Your model is malls, and if malls are going through what they're going through, you're probably affected. So how has this affected you? From the standpoint of seeing kids, and going to typical malls. Have you guys had to adjust tremendously?
Well, I think that as everyone is adjusted in their own lives, in their homes and everything. Fortunately, the internet and Skype and Zoom have allowed more people to communicate and keep the face-to-face contacts going. And that is what a lot of Santas are moving over to. There are a lot working in the malls and the shopping center, but often they're going to be working behind plexiglass or socially distanced, where maybe the family is on one side of the tree and 6 feet away and the other side is Santa. And possibly they're all wearing masks, or maybe the Santas are wearing the clear face shields.
I can see that. You have to get creative at a season like this. So if you don't mind us going back a little bit with you, is how did you become Santa? Because I know you got an interesting story of how you became Santa. I think it's appropriate we just go there first.
Well, always loved Santa Claus. I am the oldest of 11 children in a lovely Irish Catholic family. So we always had Christmas and Santa. And in 1969, I was serving in the Army. I was in Viet Nam. And a friend of mine, when we came back into the base camp on December 23rd to get our mail and have an early Christmas dinner, he put on some shaving cream as a beard and sat in a folding chair. And all of the rest of us soldiers sat down on his lap and had pictures taken to send home to our moms and dads. After about 15 minutes, that shaving cream started melting and falling away. So I grabbed that can of Barbasol and put some shaving cream on and sat in the chair and was Santa for, some of the soldiers in our unit. Quite an experience. Little did I know that a year later I would be home, going to college, working in a department store, and they came to me and said, We know that you like broadcasting and you were in the high school theatrical group. Can you be Santa for a couple days? And thus started a career of wearing the red suit.
And how long has that been now since that couple days?
Well, it's 51 years this year.
Holy moly, 51 years of
Now,
being
not
Santa.
always with the real beard. For many years, it was a theatrical beard. But as we say in the industry, as I teach in my Santa school, the number one rule is we are there for the children.
Very cool and very cool. So what is, I mean, to become a Santa, and I've heard that you've trained, I don't know, through your school, some nearly 4,000 other Santas. So tell me a little bit about the business of being a Santa Claus.
Well, about 22 years ago when I started doing the professional Santa work and my starting to retire and everything, many of the Santas didn't know each other. There were been some going to school, and there were a couple places that did some training. One of them, Charles W. Howard School, goes back to 1938. And it was once a year up in Michigan. And I had written a couple chapters for a book a friend was writing. And my chapters were kind of like on the work that we do, the business that we do, and the requirements we have. And somebody said that was good, and I added more, and all of a sudden I had a full-fledged book, and someone said, you should teach this. So I started in 2003 my own Santa school, and I traveled around the country going to different cities to where the Santas lived, teaching them. And as of last year, 4,500 Santas and Mrs. Claus had received diplomas from my school.
4,500 Santas have received a diploma from your school.
Yes.
How intense is the school?
Well, the basic school is 2 days. It's 16 hours. It covers everything starting at the beginning from a little of the history of Santa Claus, from St. Nicholas right through to present day, you know, a little bit about the different characters, the media, some of the things that influence the development of the Santa from his travels. You know, he started in Turkey. St. Nicholas was from Turkey, and as his stories traveled from that area, the Mediterranean, up into Europe, and then eventually to this new continent over here, to the US and Americas, all of the different countries influenced the person of Santa Claus with different customs and different cultures. And much of it melded together in New York in the part of the 19th century. And we ended up with Santa Claus. In fact, the term Santa Claus, first time in print, I believe, was in 1862 in the Harper's Weekly.
1862 was the first time the term Santa Claus was used.
Yeah. Well, it had been used, but in print, I know in 1862. I think that the Dutch in New York had Sinterklaas. And when the British took over New Amsterdam and renamed it New York, they required everybody to speak English, and Sinterklaas became Santa Claus. So the name was mentioned, but in print, 1862.
How much has changed for you, the season? You said 50-something years, you said you've been doing this. How much has things changed over the years of being Santa Claus during Christmas? What have you noticed?
The big thing I've noticed is that, particularly in the last 25 years, is the Santas are a little more stylish. They do a little more styling. They more professional looking suits, tailored. And of course, back in the 1970s, you know, the suit was nice, but the belt was usually a vinyl or cloth with a little, you know, metal buckle. And they didn't really have real boots. They had covers that covered their legs, you know, so they wore street shoes with a cover over them. As we moved into the turn of the century, into the 2000s and stuff, children are really smart. They can tell when something is not real. I mean, a child can watch a movie now and tell you what's CGI. So the thing is, we have to have a realistic suits. So real belt and real boots and of course, real beard. You know, back in the 70s, all the Santas and all the department stores were theatrically bearded. And today, Rarely do you find a theatrically bearded Santa. If he is, it's a high quality theatrical beard. It's one that you can hardly tell, you know. But, you know, today real bearded is much a necessity. However, I have to clarify, you could put on a beard and a wig. Any of your friends, ladies that you know, could put on a beard and wig and go into a little daycare center with children 5 and under. And if you got on a red suit and you've got a white beard, you're Santa. So the magic still occurs, even if you don't have a real beard.
I mean, I can appreciate you saying, you know, anybody can be a Santa. You know, I'm sure Middle Eastern Santas probably look a little bit different than American Santas, than any kind of Santas. But I've had to be a Santa before, and it can be rewarding, especially if you got kids, and it can be costly if kids are expecting nice gifts. But what has been the most rewarding thing for you for being Santa for this many years?
Well, you know, I've been very lucky to do a lot of events with celebrities, and I've done TV and film and things like that. But I think one of the important things is to be grounded and to be, you know the base of what we do as Santa. And as I said earlier, the number one rule is the children and volunteer work with the children. Like I said, at 4,500 Santas, and I've surveyed them and interviewed them, and all of them do volunteer work. All over, you know, whether it's local church work, school work. In fact, a lot of times they actually got started because someone came to them and said, would you volunteer to do something for the school or the church or something like that? So the volunteer work is important. And I truly enjoy doing work with children's hospitals. In fact, this year I'll be doing a lot with Hasselfeld Children's Hospital in New York City, but I've done things with the Ronald McDonald House, and I'm also the national Santa for the Marine Corps Toys for Tots. So I get to do a lot of volunteer work with them. We've done airlifts of toys into areas that have been impacted by hurricanes and natural disasters. And so those are the emotions you have with the families and children are very, very special. And when children give me a hug all the time, except this year, of course. But when it's one of these special situations where the family wasn't expecting anything, and you get that hug, and you see their face, I remember on Dr. Phil, we had a whole bunch of children after Hurricane Katrina, and he brought them all to Hollywood. And well, actually, they were all in Hollywood or living in Southern California because different churches had brought them in and were helping them while their families were trying to get resettled. And all of these families were brought to the Paramount Studios, and they had a big event. And afterwards, the children were brought into an area where they had filled the entire street with toys, every type of toy you could think of. And Dr. Phil, the gates were closed, and Dr. Phil said, okay, when we open the gates, says, you get one of every toy you see. And they opened the gates and the kids ran in. And I'm sitting there doing my ho-ho-hos and having a great time. But about 10 minutes in, I'm standing with some of the parents, and the parents are just crying because they didn't expect anything. They were wondering what they were going to do for their children this year. And now their children had just saw that Santa opened his toy bag. Thank you, Dr. Phil. But again, I'm sitting there watering up when that happened. So it's those types of things I think that give me a good base to work from. Then I get to do the fancy stuff too.
Would you say that's also the characteristics of the 4,500 some Santas that you've trained, that they have to have a heart for this?
I think, well, you have to be real. And we tell them that in the school, you are Santa, and your job is number one job is the children. And you're there to serve the children and to be Santa to them and to answer all their questions and take care of all their, and you can't always give them the exact answer they want, but you have to listen to them and you have to give them hopefully some optimistic outlook.
How do you do that in this season?
It is hard. The children are wondering how we're going to get to the house. The parents are actually wondering how do they help their child get the letter to Santa so that Santa can, respond to them. the Marine Corps, Toys for Tots, during the spring months actually distributed like 3 million toys to children and families around the country in areas that were highly impacted and where the children were, you know, just, you know, it's terrible. You're stuck at home. The parents are stuck at home, and you know, the parents don't have jobs, and it's just really rough. Isn't it great to get the kids some games or some books, keep their minds occupied? And that's something that the Marine Corps did. They have a little side thing that they do with the literacy program, and so that's what they did. They used the books and the games for the kids. And this Christmas, we'll be doing some airlifts. I think we're going to do one in Puerto Rico and some other areas of the country. Unfortunately, Santa is a civilian, and so I can't go on some of these military flights to be with the children and families. But the Marines will get the toys to them and help them have a little better Christmas.
Is the Santa Claus business model taking a big economic hit? Meaning, are Santa Clauses, the 4,500 that you've trained, are they part-time? This is what they do part-time as a secondary income. During December, you're mainly inactive, and the rest of the years, 11 months, you're pretty much doing other full-time jobs?
I think 99.9 of the Santas, in other words, almost all of them, it is very seasonal. In other words, they may have a real beard and may look like Santa year-round, but most of them, it's just this 30 or 40 days of the year that they get to work. And this year, I did a survey just about a month ago, and the results of the survey, 361 Santas responded out of the almost 3,000 I sent it to. And they told me that about 20% of them said that they're not going to be working this year. They're not going to be doing regular visits. They won't be in the mall. They won't be going to homes or corporations or anything like that. 37% of the Santas in that survey said they will be doing virtual visits. In other words, they're going to be either setting up their own Zoom type calls and doing a visit, or they're going to, or Skype or something like that, or they'll be working for a company like Talk to Santa, where they schedule times and then they'll sit in front of a computer like I am right now, and for 2 hours they'll take a call every 10 minutes from a different family and do little visits with the children. And it's a one-on-one type thing. And the nice thing about Talk to Santa is that Santa actually has a little bit of information. The elves have put together the little biography or little dossier on each child. So Santa can sit there and talk to the children about their school, what they want for Christmas. He might even have a little note of something they did recently that was good, or maybe something recently that, oh, you were naughty on. And so it makes a wonderful call. And so Talk to Santa is doing that now, and it's quite nice.
Very cool. What is the naughtiest kid you've ever faced over these years? Naughtiest?
Well, all children have a little bit of naughtiness in them. You know, children I ask will come up to me and they'll say, Santa, have I been naughty or am I good? And I'll say, well, I know that every child has good days and bad days, okay? The object is to have more good days than bad days. So you have a better level on the scale and everything. So all children, I think, deep down are good. You know, they get into a little mischief once in a while. You know, I kid around sometimes. You know, again, depending on how old you are, you probably will get this joke. But one child can be creative. Two children get very creative. Three children together, and one of them turns into Eddie Haskell. Or if not Eddie Haskell, Beetlejuice. You know, in other words, the kids challenge each other and get into mischief.
Yes. Very, very common with that. So
now, you said you have children, right?
I do. I have an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
And I can go to that 7-year-old and say to the 7-year-old, you're not getting into your older, is it brother or sister?
Brother, two older brothers.
Okay. You're not getting into your older brother's stuff, are you? And that 7-year-old will sit there sheepishly, kind of like, oh, yeah, I do. And the older one will say, yeah, he's always getting into my stuff, you know? And I can then look at the 8-year-old and say, don't get mad. Your little brother's just curious, just likes to look at your stuff. I mean, you're curious too. Sometimes you sneak in and look into daddy's stuff, don't you? And the 8-year-old will probably get big eyes and go,
Yeah.
how did Santa know?
Classic, classic. So, I looked at a couple of statistics I pulled out, which I thought it was pretty interesting. Each Christmas, 3 billion Christmas cards are sent in U.S. alone, okay? Another one is, according to data analyzed from Facebook posts, 2 weeks before Christmas is one of the 2 most popular times for couples to break up. However, Christmas Day is the least favorite day for breakups, okay, which I thought was pretty interesting. According to Guinness Book of World Records, the tallest Christmas tree ever cut was a 221-foot Douglas fir that was displayed in 1950 at the Northgate Shopping Center in Seattle, Washington. 221-foot Christmas tree. That's a good-sized Christmas tree. Christmas trees have been sold in U.S. since 1850s. And then you talked about the first time it was called Santa Claus in a print was 1860. Coca-Cola created the modern-day Mr. Claus. And the department store Santa is a 120-year-old tradition. And the age where most kids flip and they no longer believe in Santa is 8 years old. What is the oldest person you met in your life that still believed in Santa Claus?
I met a lovely lady who was 102 at a rest home, a convalescent home. In fact, she was very spry. She still walked around and everything. And she gave me a big, and she believed, oh, yes, she wanted to go out on a date. You know, it's always fun to meet people who believe, I've asked often, why is this whole thing Santa going on? You mentioned Coca-Cola. In the 1930s, they had some illustration of Santa Claus. And Santa had been used in marketing and advertising for many years. And so some people say, well, Coca-Cola created the modern day Santa. Well, it evolved before that. But the reason Santa exists and continues to exist is because of the parents and the grandparents and everything that they do for their children and for others. This has been going on for 17 centuries. 17 centuries since St. Nicholas went around and gave away his wealth to help others. And other people followed in his habit, his custom of doing something for their kids, doing something for others. And it's because we seem to get an enjoyment out of doing something for others. And we do it for our children, and we love doing it. And that feeling that we get is so good, we want to do it again. So we repeat it. And look what's happened.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, the feeling of giving is a priceless feeling. In Christmas, there's nothing like it when everybody comes together. You're almost forced to do it. We like to do it, period. But Christmas is like a mandatory time. So for someone like you, are you married? Have you been married? Do you have kids?
Yes, I've been married almost 35 years. We have a lovely daughter. We have a 1.5-year-old grandbaby, and they live near us here. And so I get that enjoyment. In fact, the one child I got to hold for a Christmas photo is my granddaughter. And that's the rest of the kids. It's all social distance. Sometimes we have a sign. Here's Santa. Here's the family. There's 6 feet in between, and the sign says, "I'm 6 feet from Santa. This is as close as I'll get to the nice list."
Wow, I like that. That's fun. You got to find a way to get creative. So how is it being married to Santa, or having a dad as Santa, or even a grandpa as Santa?
Well, I don't think my granddaughter knows yet what's going on. She's only a year and a half. My daughter has enjoyed it. I'm actually, as part of my Santa school, I've actually had a dozen cruises. We've gone on Princess Cruises a dozen times with anywhere from 20 to 40 couples, all Santas and Mrs. Claus. And my daughter's gone with us. So she's experienced hanging around the Santas and things like that. And so it's been very, very enjoyable.
How did you and your wife meet? Did you guys meet when you were dressed as Santa, or no?
Oh, well, when you have a little beard like this and all the white hair to go with it, why, of course, the thing is that you're Santa year round, 24/7, 365. And so sometimes you don't always need the red suit. you know, you can, people will see this curly mustache and they see this beard, and immediately
that's your real beard. That's your beard. Is that your real beard, right? You have on? That's yours. That's not no additions here.
Oh, this is all real. You know, that's what the little old ladies like to pull on.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned something about the 8-year-old a little bit ago. Yes. 8-year-old.
Yes.
And of course, normally what happens is that one of the older kids tells the 8-year-old the story. And I often get parents asking me, what do I do when my child comes home and says, my friends tell me there's no Santa, you know? And I encourage all families to teach their children about giving, secret giving, adopting another child or family and giving something away. Teach them about the joy of giving so they feel that warm, fuzzy feeling. And when the day does come, then you can tell the child, says, well, you know, St. Nicholas was a real person. He taught us all about giving. So we started doing things for our children. You're going to have to do it for your children. And you now have to become one of the secret givers that helps others. And so you teach your children this, they will follow along with it. And and usually the older kids, if they believe in that, they'll help take care of the little kids. So your 7 and 8-year-old will take care of the 3-year-old.
That's very powerful, the secret giving part, you know, to teach the oldest, you know, older brother, older sister who maybe learns about Santa Claus, you take the approach of teaching them secret giving. So before we wrap up, I'm assuming you've watched, maybe it's a bad assumption to make. Have you watched most of the Santa movies? Have you watched them yourself? And if yes, what's your favorite?
I do try to catch some of the movies. Now, there's an important aspect of this. All Santas need to understand and know that the children have seen all of these movies. They've read all of the books, and we have to know all of those things because children will come to Santa and say, can I see your tattoos? And there was a movie a few years ago where Santa had tattoos that said naughty and nice. And so in Santa school, we teach the Santas, if a child asks you that, you know, you could say, well, they're magical tattoos. They only appear when I need them, you know, and because you know, you don't want to go out and have to have your arm inked. Although I noticed some guys on your staff there are already inked.
Yeah. Mario is.
But again, we have to know what's going on in the movie so that we can answer the children's questions.
What's your favorite movie? What's your
favorite? My favorite movie, Miracle on 34th Street.
Okay, old school. Yeah, it's my dad's as well.
I mean, I've seen the new Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell, which are quite good and have some neat things in it. I wish I could sing as well as he does.
Have you seen Elf with Will Ferrell?
I've seen Elf with Will Ferrell, a funny movie, and with the 4 food groups all being sugars.
He was pretty excited when he saw you. I mean, when he saw you in the mall, he was very excited about it. I don't know if you remember that one scene. Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I think there's some little video clips that you can get the way he got so excited. But again, those are parts of the joy, you know, that make it wonderful. Being able to take in fact, that was a Broadway musical for a while. So families would take their children to see that, like they go see the Rockettes. Even the movie Christmas Story, the one with the little boy who visited Santa, and then Santa said, no, you'll shoot your eye out. Even that was made into a Broadway musical. So there's lots of entertainment out there, lots of fun for the children and the families. And as Santa, I kind of have to know what's going on and go along with it.
Well, you know, I want to thank you for coming on and being a guest. I know you got your so did you say you have 2 190-pound dogs in your place, or you got reindeers as well?
Well, we have reindeer, of course. There's thousands of reindeer that help us out here. But my personal dogs, I have Noelle. She is 180-pound black Newfoundland, and her sister is not a bear. And because she is not a bear, looks like a bear, but is not a bear. She's just a big 180-pound dog.
Big 180-pound dog. My gosh. And they're waiting for Santa to go feed them right now because it's dinner time.
Yes, it is.
Well, Santa Tim, thank you so much for making the time for being a guest on Valuetainment. How can people find you, by the way?
Well, I'm easy to find me. I'm on the web at nationalsanta.com.
Very cool. We're going to
Okay.
put that
And
link below.
thank you. I appreciate that. And of course, I want all your viewers and anybody listening, here's my logo back here for Toys for Tots. If you have an opportunity, visit the website for toysfortots.org this year, because a lot of people can't drop anything in a barrel. They can go online and order a virtual toy for a child. Make a donation, and that way we can still reach probably about 8 million children this year. And we need to do that. It's very, very important.
We will definitely do that as well. Any final thoughts of optimism for 2021?
Well, enjoy the holiday season. Do what you can to have a good time with your family, even though you're stuck at home. Do know that there are ways that if you can't get to a mall or a shopping center, you can go to sites like Talk to Santa and or go online. And there are different ways for the children to experience a visit with Santa.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Bless you, Patrick, and bless all your listeners. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye, bye-bye. So it's pretty crazy. Even the pandemic affected Santa Claus business, which last year, you heard him say 30 to 40 days, but learn a little bit more about how his world is as Santa. If you know Christmas time, it's a very heartwarming time for kids, family, go to the mall, take pictures. It's exciting for kids to go through, and they want to have that. So another additional thing to be thinking about. By the way, if you enjoyed this interview here with Santa Tim, Adam Sosnick did a video on Black Friday, Christmas spending, the whole nine of what it's like during holidays on Valuetainment Economics. If you've not watched it, click over here to watch it. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.